Hey guys, we're going to look at day 7 ELA. Now, day 7 ELA, we look at the writing process first, and you are going to apply some of those skills to it. And then you are going to work on a passage. So the first thing that we do on page 15 says, read the 5 steps of the writing process to write a story. Those 5 steps are to plan. And for you, when you planned at school, especially writing with Mrs. Houston, usually did some sort of graphic organizer, or we did the boxes and bullets quite often. Then you did your first draft, which is your rough draft. You can call it first draft or rough draft. Either way, it's not your final draft. Then we did some revising, which means you read through it. Did everything make sense? And did you include all that information? And usually you're making sure you also included the stuff that you were supposed to include for your writing piece. Then we have proofreading. That's where we're editing it. Do we use correct punctuation, quotation marks? Is our spelling correct? Do we have capital letters? Do we have punctuation? Do we put capital letters in front of our proper nouns? This is when we're editing, and then it's our final draft. It's like the party of the writing piece. So you are going to use the steps to finish the story on a separate sheet of paper. And what does that say? You go for a walk one day and find a large golden egg with green spots. Suddenly, it begins to shake and crack. All right, guys, it says, use the steps to finish the story. They gave you what your story is going to be about. You need to plan it, do a box and bullets or some sort of graphic organizer of what details you want in there. That's not writing out full sentences. Your planning is not full sentences. That's stuff to remember. Your first draft, your rough draft, all of these steps you need to do. Does it have to be super long? No. This is as long as you want it to be. But if you finish that story, you can record yourself reading it, or you can take a picture of it and share it or scan it in and share it on Google Classroom, because I know we'd all love to see it. Share those videos or the pictures or the documents, because that sounds like an awesome story and actually reminds me of a Henry Danger thing that they had. So share that. We'd love to hear that story. All right, the next thing on day 7 is reading the passage and answering the questions. Now, I've said that I'm not going to read every piece. I'm going to read this piece today because I want to go over a couple things when it comes to number 12. So the piece is called Reptiles and Amphibians. You may think that lizards and frogs are in the same family, but they are not. Lizards, snakes, turtles, and crocodiles are reptiles. Frogs, toads, and salamanders are amphibians. I hope you're following along, otherwise I just look silly reading this. So we're at the 3rd line. Ready? Both amphibians and reptiles are cold-blooded, which means that the warmth of their bodies depends on their surroundings. Most reptiles and amphibians lay eggs instead of giving birth to their young. Reptiles lay hard-shelled eggs on land, but amphibians lay soft-shelled eggs in the water. When reptiles hatch, they look like tiny adults. Amphibian babies, such as tadpoles or baby frogs, must live underwater until they are older. Adult amphibians spend part of their time in the water and part on land. Reptiles feel dry and scaly to touch, and amphibians feel moist and sticky. Because amphibians can live both in water and on land, they are more at risk for becoming sick from population. It is important to keep ponds and lakes clean so that the animals that live there will be safe and healthy. You are not going to read this piece just once. I'm going to go over some of the questions, and then you are going to keep reading, okay? So number 12, what is the main idea of the passage? And I know we've worked with main idea a lot. What is it mostly about? What is it pretty much about? So they give you 3 options. Is it A, there are different, try that again. There are important differences between reptiles and amphibians. Okay, is that the answer? I don't know, we gotta read all the options. B, reptiles are the same as amphibians. Is that what it's mostly about? I can't answer that. C, frogs and lizards belong to different families. Is that what it's about? You gotta be text detective and reread it and find out, okay? Number 13, name 3 animals that are reptiles and 3 that are amphibians. It's in the text. They're not tricking you. It's in the text. Gotta be a detective. Read it again and find that information. Use your highlighter if you'd like. And then number 14, the author organizes this passage as a comparison. Okay, compare means we look at 2 different things and we see how they're the same and how they're different. So why does this organizational pattern work well for this subject? Why do you think that it was easy to read this when they were comparing how these reptiles and amphibians are the same and they're different? You could use a Venn diagram. Venn diagrams are great for using that. So I'm going to draw a quick one so you can see what I mean. Venn diagram. So, reptiles, amphibians. We list how they're different here and what similar qualities they have in the middle. And then I throw a marker at myself to get it on me. Jeez, cannot take me anywhere. So, take a look at reptiles and amphibians. I want you to reread that text, and I want you to really look for those answers. Don't come at me, bro, without the real evidence. It's your job to find the evidence in that text, and all those answers are in there. All right, good luck.